G'day everyone, welcome to another episode of SharePoint Saturday. Now, this episode is proudly brought to you by the Copilot Studio, a weekly newsletter that is designed to help you maximize your use and improve your productivity in less than 10 minutes per week. It is a weekly newsletter that is going to showcase real-world examples, use cases, and just how you can use Microsoft Copilot more effectively to improve your productivity. So if you're not already subscribed, head over to thecopilotstudio.com, pop your email address in there. You'll also be able to see all the past editions of the newsletter directly on the website as well. Now on to today's SharePoint Saturday, where we're going to take a look at lists, libraries, lookup columns, and then also bring all that together and connect lists and libraries on a SharePoint page to give you a really good user experience. So let's dive in and get stuck into it. So we can see here, I'm just on a SharePoint team site here. Now let's set the scene a little bit first. I've got a couple of libraries here, or one in particular that we are going to use for this example, and it is a library that has been created and crafted for invoices. So it's already been set up. We've got a bit of metadata here already, and what we're going to do is create or associate these invoices with vendors. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do so that we can associate and have a vendor option in that library is actually create a master list for our vendors. All right, so let's jump in here and we'll click new list and we'll create a blank list. Now, all I am going to do is call this vendors, and this could be crafted or taken and implemented in any number of different scenarios here. It's just that this use case here is going to be around vendors. So I'm going to call this name vendors. It's going to be our master list. It's just going to have a title column, and we're going to add our vendors to this list. So let's add a couple of vendors. So I am going to say Microsoft. I will say Apple. And we'll just add a couple more. We might even add Contoso here. So we'll go Contoso, and then we'll also might add Fabricam as well. So let's type in Fabricam here. All right, so now we've got 4 vendors on our master list. Now, if we now jump into invoices, what we're going to do is we're going to create a type of column that we call a lookup column. So I'm going to click add column. I'm going to scroll down to lookup, and I'm going to click next. So what we want to do is we want to look up the values from that vendor list from that title column. All right, so I am going to say vendor name, and it is of type lookup. Now we need to select the list that we want to use as the source. All right, so here the source is going to be vendors. All right, now we also then need to select the column from the list above that we want to use as our selections, because our vendor list could potentially have more information. So there could be contact person, address, website, all of that sort of stuff around a particular vendor if we're using that as a master vendor list. All right, so I'm going to use title and I'll hit save. Now that has now created our lookup column. So what we can now do is we can select, and I'm just going to select a few documents here. I'm going to go to the information panel here, and we will now have an option where we can choose and associate from that list our vendors. All right, so I'm just going to hit save, and now what we've got are these 3 documents that have now been associated to Apple. All right, so you can see there, and we've got Apple. So let's just do a couple more. We'll associate these ones to, let's say Microsoft, and then we'll do the last 2. We'll just deselect these ones. We'll choose these 2, and we'll associate these to Contoso. All right. So now we've got our invoices, and we've aligned those and associated those to our vendors. All right. So there we are there, and we've got that vendor name. We can still here, we can group by vendor name here as well. All right. So we can still do everything that we can do with a normal metadata column. We can do here also in this with that lookup column. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to create a new page. So let's say we've got our invoices. So we've got different types, or if we go to libraries and we go to invoices, we've got different types or statuses of invoices here. So created, rejected, all of this sort of stuff here. All right. So what if we had a single place where we could have our a couple of different views of this invoices library on a page, but also have the ability to select a particular vendor on that same page and then dynamically filter this list here. So that's what we're going to build out. So now I'm just going to create a new page. So we'll go new page, and then we'll just keep this as a blank page for now. Now I'm just going to change this to image and title, and let's call this vendor portal. All right, so we'll call this one vendor portal. I'm going to get rid of the text. I'm just going to lay this out in a, let's go a 1/3 right, because what we're going to do here, actually, let's do something else. Let's add a vertical section. Let's change this to a single column. So we'll change this one to a single column. We've got a vertical section. Now what I want to do here is I want to add our list. All right, so our list that we're going to use is vendors. All right, so there's our list. Now I just want to have the list of vendors. I don't want to have the command bar or the see all bar there, and I'll just apply that. So now we've got a simple list. Now over here, we are going to add our document library. So our document library that we're going to add is invoices. All right, so that's now added our invoices. Now what we can also do here is choose the view that we want to show in this web part. So I'm just going to publish this for now, and we're going to go back to our document library, and we're going to create a couple of different views. All right, so we'll go to libraries, we'll go to invoices, and now let's create a couple of views. So let's go to create one for paid. So let's go filter by paid invoices. So we'll go apply. We'll save this view as paid. And then we might also just create one more view here. So we'll go back to all documents, and then we'll create, actually, let's go to all invoices, because that's the one that I put the vendor name in. Now, what we might do here, let's just have a look. Let's go for also rejected. All right, so let's filter by status, filter by rejected, and let's create a new view of this. So we'll go save as, we'll go rejected, and we'll hit save. All right, so now we've got a couple of views, rejected and also paid. So now let's jump back onto our other page. So we'll go to vendor portal. Now let's hit the edit button, and we're just going to select a certain view here. So all invoices, let's go for paid. So we'll hit the paid. I don't want to have any of the command bars, and we'll hit apply. So we'll change this to paid invoices, and then I also want to add another instance of our document library. So let's go for document library. We'll choose invoices again, and now I just want to choose a different view, and we'll go rejected. So let's choose, and we'll change this to rejected invoices. We'll turn off the command bar and see all, and now we'll hit apply. So now what we've got is two instances of our document library looking at different views. And we've got our vendors list on the right hand side. Now, when we select this, it's not doing anything at the moment, right? So what we want to do is we want to say, right, when I select this vendor in the list on the right hand side, dynamically filter the documents that appear in the web parts on the left. Okay, so let me just fix up this. We'll go paid invoices. So now what we can do is we can edit the web parts and choose, actually, let's use this one. We want to dynamically filter the items selected in another list or library. So I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to column in the invoices to to filter, we want to go vendor name, a list or library containing the filter value, which is vendors, which is this list, and the column is the title. So we'll hit apply, and then we'll also do exactly the same thing here. We'll turn this on. We'll choose vendor name, we'll also choose vendors, and then we'll choose title, and we'll hit apply. All right, so let's republish that. Now we can see here, and we'll fix up these views in a minute. So we've got Microsoft and Contoso as the vendor name on the top, and we've got Apple at the bottom. All right, so if I choose Microsoft, if I select Microsoft, you can see that I've got no rejected invoices, but I do have a single paid. All right, if I go to Apple, we should see the same thing, all right, or a similar thing. But here we've got a rejected invoice down here for Apple, all right. And if I go to, what was the other vendor over here? If I go to Contoso, we should have one paid invoice and no rejected invoices. But what we've got is a little bit of a scroll bar here. So what I want to do is just fix up these views. So we want rejected and paid. So I'm going to jump into the document library, and I'm just going to hide a few columns in our views. So I'll go to paid, and I'll just go to show and hide columns, and I want to turn off all of these, and we might just untick that as well. Now we've got a cut down view of the paid, and I'll do the same thing with rejected. So I just want to go show and hide columns. We'll leave the vendor name. Now the vendor name needs to stay in the view because we're going to we need that value in there to do the filtering, right? So you need to keep that vendor name there. So if I now go to pages and I go to vendor portal, what we'll see now are those views on the page here as well change because we've changed it in the document library. So there, now what we've got is if I choose Microsoft, I can see that I've got one paid invoice there. And we've got the same filtering options. I can even select multiple here. So you can see here, I've got Apple and Microsoft, and you can see that Microsoft's got one paid invoice and Apple has got one rejected invoice, all right? So by using a combination of lists and libraries and using a lookup column from that list in your libraries and then using this dynamic filtering, you can really enhance that user experience and create a dynamic page that when you select an option in a list on that page, it then dynamically filters the web parts on that same page. So I hope that brings you some value today. Thanks for watching. And once again, this video, today's edition of SharePoint Saturday has been brought to you by the Copilot Studio. So if you haven't subscribed to that, it is a weekly newsletter all about Microsoft Copilot and taking advantage of it to improve all of your productivity and processes. Head over to thecopilotstudio.com, pop your email address in, and you'll start receiving those weekly newsletters as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.